Hello, hey. Happy Monday. Happy May. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's also Masturbation Month. So if you didn't know, now you know. So hopefully a lot of the content that you'll be seeing, we'll be talking a little bit more about mental health because if you didn't know, I'm also a therapist. And so I'll give a little bit of information on that. You'll probably get a lot of that in my Facebook group. So if you're a woman and you're looking for a community of other women, just to kind of hold each other up, if you're looking for confidence, better relationships, more pleasure in your life, that's kind of what the Facebook group is all about, so you want to go ahead and join, and I'll be dropping a lot of information about mental health there. There's going to be some here on Instagram too, so don't worry if you don't fit the description for the group. You'll get that here as well. But I am Shamaree. I am a relationship and intimacy coach, and I empower women to get the confidence and pleasure that they deserve so that they no longer have to settle for lack of satisfaction, especially when it comes to relationships. And I do these weekly Q&As here on Instagram where I answer questions that you guys submit to me throughout the week. If you follow me, if you're not, do it. But if you follow me and you check out my story throughout the week, you'll see there that I post that you can submit questions to me. So I say, ask me anything, and you go ahead and you submit your questions, and that is how you get your question answered here for the free. If you want more specific information, or if you feel like your question or situation has a lot of information that just doesn't fit in the story, I get it. But the only way that you're going to be able to get support around that is if you schedule a clarity call with me, and I am doing 60-minute clarity calls. My schedule busted wide open for May, so you can go ahead and schedule that if you're looking for a little bit more support. And all of this is going to be found in my Instagram bio. If you look at the link, if you click on that, and then you scroll down, the first thing there is going to be for you to schedule a clarity call. And then below that, you'll see the course that I offer. You'll see some freebies. And then you'll also see at the very bottom all of my social media. So if you are wanting to join the Facebook group, or you want to follow me on Pinterest or wherever else, that's where you're going to see all of the social media. So definitely check that out. Hello. But I have 4 questions. That's typically what I do. I try to keep it short enough so that I'm not here all day. But I'm going to go ahead and get into that. The first question that I have for today is, I want a high value partner, but those types can be intimidating. How do I deal with that intimidation? And so for me, whenever I think about the word intimidation, that, like, if you look up the definition, it has to do with fear. So feeling frightened, feeling scared or worried. So typically people are intimidated when they are fearful, when they're scared or worried. So typically that has nothing to do at all with the person or the circumstance itself. It has to do with you and your interpretation of it. So if you're saying you want a high value partner, I don't know what that means to you. Everyone has their own thing, right? But generally speaking, what they say that is someone who is emotionally intelligent, they're financially stable, they're an independent person, they're responsible, dependable, all the good things, honest. So if you are wanting that and you truly want that, the intimidation comes into play when you feel that maybe you do not deserve it, or you feel like they have more of that than you do. So if you do not feel like they're out of your league, if you do not feel that you are not deserving of such a thing, then you wouldn't be as fearful of it. It might feel uncomfortable if it's something that you're not used to, and change, whether it's a good or bad change, we do feel a little bit uncomfortable with it. It takes time for us to get used to it, but fearful is a different thing. So typically when people are saying someone is intimidating, it's coming from a place of insecurity or a place of feeling not enough, not deserving, or feeling like this person has accomplished more than I have. Are they going to look at me like I don't have enough? So that's typically where that's coming from. And so it has, like I said, it has nothing to do with the other person. So whether it's Billy or if it's Becky, it doesn't matter. So what we would have to do is we have to kind of figure out where that insecurity or that feeling of not enough or not deserving is coming from, and help to kind of restructure the thought process around it. So even if I haven't accomplished as much as someone else, that's not something for me to be fearful of. I can take that same admiration of seeing like, man, they did all this great stuff, and I can take that as motivation. I don't have to take that as intimidation or something to be scared of or to be worried to be around them. So that's kind of the approach that we would have to take on that. Tell me like what you guys think. If you disagree, that's fine. We could chat. But what, like, have you ever been intimidated by someone, a potential partner, feel like maybe you're not deserving, or maybe they're out of your league? We talk about that. Sometimes people say that, like, as far as looks or accomplishments, if someone makes a lot more money than you. Let me know kind of what you think. I know sometimes it can be different for men and women too, and I might have to do a YouTube video on that so we can get a little bit more into it, but definitely let me know. That's kind of generally how I take that, though. It's coming from a place of lack, and then we have to kind of examine where that's coming from and how we can restructure it, because it's not based in fact. It's not a fact in any way. That's how we feel, and it's valid, but that doesn't make it a fact. So that's that one. The second one I have here is, how do you get over the fear of sex after relationship trouble? And so I'm not sure what this fear is, so I would have to ask a lot of questions just as far as like, what are we fearful of? Are we afraid that it's not going to be good? Are we afraid that the connection is gone? Are we afraid because we don't want them to touch us? Like, what is that fear? What exactly are we worried about? And then from there, we can kind of address some of those. So if it's a fear that there's been so much conflict or so much issue that you don't want to be close to this person, then that's something that we kind of have to address as far as improving communication, setting boundaries, and being clear on those boundaries and how we're going to maintain them over time. But then also part of it too, when we're building intimacy, I know it feels counterintuitive, but whenever we're feeling disconnected from someone, a way to build that closeness again, or one of the ways, there's plenty of ways, but one of the ways is physical touch. So I know I've done it. I've been there. If someone pissed me off, then I don't want you to touch me. Like, leave me alone. Don't bother me. Like, nah, we're not doing that. But really and truly, that actually helps. Humans, we need that touch, skin to skin. Babies need it to build bonds. We still need it when we're adults. So the more that we are able to touch, and it doesn't have to be sex, but any type of physical touch helps to increase the intimacy. It helps you to feel closer to this person. So even if you are afraid and you are mad, so you don't want them to touch you, still trying your best to keep an open mind to it. And like I said, it doesn't have to be sex, but if they are trying to get a hug from you, keeping an open mind to give them at least a hug. Most of us hug random strangers that we met the first time. So we give all types of people hugs, right? So we can hug the person that we are in a relationship with, or trying to build a relationship with, trying to rebuild a relationship with, right? Even if we're upset, we hug strangers all the time. So I think that trying to keep that open mind, having that touch, it can very much help. And the more that you're able to kind of increase the intimacy outside of the bedroom, that helps within the bedroom, right? And so if you're worried that it's not going to be good, that also comes down to communication and kind of sharing what you would want, like how you would want things to be. And I always say we should be having those conversations regardless, especially if we are doing these things, sharing our bodies with each other, then you need to know how to love this body. You need to know what pleases this body and vice versa in order for us to both have a pleasurable experience. So it definitely comes down to a lot of conversations, a lot of boundaries, and understanding your partner's interest and their boundaries, and then also just trying your best to keep an open mind. And if you have more specific information about what that fear is, if it's not like one of the things that I mentioned today, then definitely let me know. You can resubmit a question, or like I said, sign up for a clarity call and we can talk about your situation more specifically. But typically that's kind of what I got from that. Like if you're fearful, usually it's like, I don't know if it's going to be good or like the fighting has been so bad, there's might not be as much of a connection anymore, but there's ways to foster that. There's ways to increase intimacy and ways to increase that closeness, so that, not that you shouldn't have any fears, because we're humans, it happens, but that's something that can be minimized. We have there's things that we can do to minimize it, essentially. So definitely let me know if you have a fear that's other than the ones that I mentioned, or if you want to go ahead and get a clarity call, then we can talk. You get 60 minutes, so we can kind of go over what that is and or anything else that you would mention. And so I do want to kind of introduce myself and give you a little bit more about that, and some other offerings before we continue. I'm Shamaree. I'm a relationship and intimacy coach. I empower women to get the confidence and pleasure that they deserve so that they no longer settle for lack of satisfaction, especially within relationships. And so as far as the clarity calls, like I said, May, I opened my schedule. Go sign up and we can meet. But then I also have my YouTube channel. Like I said, this May, I've been telling you, like, it's coming. But May, for sure, I'm going to be releasing videos. So if you have specific topics that you're interested in, definitely also send that to me. I'm open to suggestions, and depending on what you guys kind of have conversations about or what you guys ask, that's kind of what I've been using as motivation for these videos, because I'm going to be able to go in much more detail than I do here on this quick little live. So definitely let me know. I'm pretty nice. Like, a lot of you have sent me DMs and I respond to most of them, unless you're like spam or you just don't say anything. Like, I'm very nice, I think. So definitely let me know if you have ideas, and go subscribe now. Turn on the notification bell so that you're notified just as soon as those videos pop up. And that is coming, like I said, this month. It's gonna be like a weekly thing. So in addition to these lives that get posted there, I'm gonna also have a specific sit down video with a clear topic that I can kind of go a little bit more into depth on. And then the other thing is I have my course, Better Sex Guide to Confidence, Satisfaction, and Orgasms Without Faking. So the next 2 questions, we're going to talk a little bit more about sex. So if these questions are something that you have struggled with, or if you just feel like you need to better know yourself so that you can have better experiences, then the course is for you. It's 50% off right now. I'm going to keep it that way until about Mother's Day. So if you need to treat yourself and get yourself something for Mother's Day, or if you want someone else to treat you for Mother's Day, definitely send them the link so they can cop it for you while it is 50% off, because that will be changing after Mother's Day. And that is, like I said, in my Easy Tree link, which is in my Instagram bio, if you click that. So definitely check that out after you get done with this live. And if you're watching the replay, hey, hashtag replay in the comments. And like I said, I want to hear what y'all think. You don't have to agree with me. Like, everyone has their own perspectives, their own opinions. I always say you make your own rules for your relationship, so you can listen to what I have to say or not. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say. So definitely comment below if you have any responses to anything that I ever post. Essentially, I'm very much open to hearing. I would love to talk to you guys in a more public forum, because a lot of you send me DMs, but I would love to get it going so that you can make other people feel comfortable. Like, a lot of people have the same questions and concerns that you do, because y'all be sending me messages and y'all all be saying a lot of the same stuff. So if you are just brave enough to go ahead and just mention something in the comments, that gives other people motivation, and they will start to feel a little bit more comfortable too. Like, hey, this person, they went and they said this, and that's exactly what I've been feeling, exactly what I've been thinking. So it just opens the forum a little bit more. So I would appreciate that. But the next question, we're going to keep it going. I have a meeting after this, and I have to do dinner and all that. So the next one is how to manage expectations versus reality when it comes to sex. How to manage expectations versus reality when it comes to sex. So I'm going to give you some general things that you can probably apply to things that are not just sex. But since this is specifically about sex, I've said this before, but I want to encourage you all. I know we all want it to be amazing, like transcendence, back breaking, or whatever you want to call it. We all want it to be that all the time. We all want it to be that from the jump, like the chemistry, the spark, it should be there all the time. And if it's not there, then it's just not there. And that is not necessarily the healthiest way to look at it. Just because I was having a conversation the other day, actually, and I was thinking about how we go into these situations, and just like with anything in life, the way that we act, the way that we think, the way that we process things is all based on our past experiences, things that we've learned, things that we've seen. So whenever you are going into a situation, you have sex with a new person, you're going to have sex with them the same way you had sex with the last person. And this person is not the last person. They're not. So yes, maybe it worked and it was amazing when you used it before, but that does not mean that you can expect to go into the situation and have this person have the same reaction. Expect for it to have the same effect, because this is a whole new person with their own set of past experiences, their own set of trauma, their own set of thoughts and feelings. So a lot of times we go in with the expectation like, oh, well, this worked before. Like, this is how I like to do it. This is how I've always had the best experiences. And sometimes these expectations, when we think too much or we place too much pressure on a situation, a lot of times that can backfire. And so if we're thinking too much about how it should be, whether that's because we talked it up, and I know y'all be doing this, like, oh, I'm so great, I've done this, I've done that. And sometimes we talk it up so much, or based on our past experiences, we feel like, okay, this is going to be amazing. Conversation is bomb. Like, this is going to be the best thing ever. And when it's not necessarily that, we automatically are disappointed. And so it's easier, or you feel less of a letdown if you try to keep your thoughts within perspective. So you can hope for the best, and you hope that the chemistry that you have maybe in conversation, or the attraction that you feel for someone will translate into an amazing sexual experience. That's just not always the case, because there's several factors other than just kind of not knowing this person. You don't know their body. You don't know how they're going to respond. You don't know what they like either. Even if they've told you, if you haven't actually acted upon it, it can be different within the moment, right? But also, just kind of lost my train of thought there, but just allowing yourself the opportunity to actually experience it in the flesh. And then on top of that, you can be anxious because they've never seen you naked, or maybe you feel self-conscious about a certain part of your body, and so maybe you're thinking about how that's gonna look. Maybe you're just stressed in general in life, like maybe I'm just really overworked, and so like I'm not 100% in the moment because I'm still mad about something that happened at work. It could be if you're using substances, alcohol or otherwise, that can impact performance as well. There's medical issues or physical issues that can impact performance, medication that you're taking. So there's plenty of reasons why it might not have been as bomb as you thought it would be. And so that's why I always say, try it more than once. at least a couple times before you decide that that person ain't it or that they ain't got it. Because sometimes it's one of those things and it has nothing to do with their ability, but more so they just had a lot going on. Maybe they got very nervous and they just weren't able to be in the moment in the way that they should have. So removing those expectations as far as markers, so like it needs to be this many rounds, I need to have this many orgasms, or those sorts of things. But instead, if you're going to have expectations, expect to have fun. Expect for it to be a new, interesting experience, like something that we can share together, and focus more so on how you can feel in the moment, more so than having like a destination. Like, I need to have this type of orgasm, I need to have it this many times, and if I don't, then it doesn't meet expectations. So if you're going to have expectations, because we're human, I get it, it's gonna happen. Have some more so around the experience. And I think this may be a little bit easier for women, but if there are any men watching and you can't imagine orgasm not being kind of a destination or expectation, then I do want to kind of pose this question to you. So if you're having sex, is the sex not good until you orgasm? Because you can have fun, you can have a great experience and not orgasm. Or is the fun, the feelings, the sensations that you're getting before the orgasm irrelevant if there's no orgasm? So just think about that. Let me know. Like I said, I'm not a guy, so I don't know. But I would assume that you're having fun before you have an orgasm. So to expect that orgasm is the only marker of a good experience, I think is not a responsible one, because that's what we kind of teach people, that and then that's the expectation that everyone goes into it. And as we know, a lot of women ain't having orgasms. So I don't think that all women who are not having orgasms are having terrible times every time that they're having sex. We can definitely aim for better, of course. And if you need assistance with that, then definitely get the Better Sex course. But I think that just knowing that you have to take time to get to know someone, knowing and understanding that there are different circumstances that can impact the experience, and also knowing and understanding that we don't have to have a checklist in order for it to be a fun experience, are ways to kind of combat the expectation versus reality. Being open to whatever the outcome is, like just hoping and wanting a fun experience, but not necessarily creating this long list of what it has to be. I think is very important. So let me know what y'all think. Like I said, if you're a guy and you're watching this, definitely let me know if it's only fun at the point of orgasm. So the 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, hour before that, none of that was fun for you. Let me know, because I would love to know that. And then the last question, how to take criticism or feedback without taking it personally. And so this is it's a very difficult thing, because anytime that someone's telling you that maybe you did something incorrectly or you can do better, we automatically feel like, oh, it's not good enough, or we can question whether or not we're good enough, or if there's room for it to be better, like what's wrong with me? Why would they say this? But if we can take a step back from that, so your feelings are your feelings, but they are not facts. So we can take a step back from that. We feel it. So now let's think about it in a more rational way. So like, okay, if someone's telling me like that this is an area that can be improved, or something that maybe I did incorrectly, that has nothing to do with me. So they would likely have this same advice or same feedback, whether it's me or if it's Keisha or if it's Becky. So I do not need to take it personally, because it's not about me. It's not about Shamaree. It's about the situation, right? And so that is very important. So depersonalize and stop taking things personal that are not personal. So if it's something that I did, that's my behavior. So they're wanting this behavior to be adjusted. I am not my behavior. I can change my behavior at any time. It may take some work and it may take some time, but my behavior is not me. I'm separate from my behavior. I can change it. So it's not about you. It's about this behavior, this thing that you are doing, and the way that it impacts them. Anytime that something bothers me, most of the time it's not necessarily even the action or the thing, it's how I am, like how it impacts me. So my response to it, the way I interpret it, that's about me. That ain't about you. Like that's about me. I interpret it this way, and this is why it impacts me this way. So I think that stop taking it personal. And have conversations too, like figuring out what the motivation is behind things. Sometimes that can be really helpful in not taking things personally. Because like I said, most of the time it has little to do with you. There may be some things that are personal to you since they're saying it to you, but it really, really very, very few times has anything to do with you, and more so to do with the impact they feel. And so that is what I would say. So whether it's something to do with sex or anything else, like they just don't like when you say a certain thing, that is not you as a person. My verbal expression is not me. It's how I'm expressing myself, but that's not me as a person. So I don't have to take it personally as a person. Because I can say things in a different way, and hopefully me saying things in a different way that will help the other person not feel as impacted negatively by it. So it's something that you kind of have to address on both sides, but also when it comes to criticism. If you get the Come Confidently webinar that I did, I talk a little bit more about that there and a lot more about it in my course. But when you're receiving feedback or criticism, it's also important to analyze the source, as you should do with anything that you hear ever in life. Make sure that you're taking a look at the source before you just accept it as fact and true. So sometimes people are saying things because they are upset. So maybe it's a retaliation, maybe you're in conflict. So you kind of have to analyze what they're saying or what they're giving to you as feedback or criticism and determine whether or not it's something that you need to take seriously or if it's something that may be attributed to them just being upset and they're mad at this time. So definitely analyze the source. Do you even trust this person and their opinion? Do you value their feedback? Because if you don't even care about their opinion, like if you don't consider them an important person in your life, they're not a trustworthy person, they're not someone you want to continue building a relationship with, then taking their criticism or feedback personally is not wise. So definitely analyze that and kind of see from there. Like I said, it's not about you. It could be just the behavior, the way that you're going about things, which we can always change. So it's not anything wrong with you. There's just things that we do that are either healthy or unhealthy, things that get us closer to our goals or further apart, or so that's how I like to look at things rather than always taking things personally, and that has been helpful. And when I work with clients, we do a lot of mindset work, and that helps, because your mindset is everything. It's how we determine everything. It starts there. So that is the last question. If you guys have additional questions, like I said, take a look out in my story. I post pretty much every day, but at least 5 times a week I put the Ask Me Anything in there so you can submit questions. Let me know if you have ideas for my YouTube. Go follow me if you are not. And definitely click on the link in my bio. Check out all the things that I have to offer. And I hope you all enjoy your evening. I'm about to get up out of here. I have a meeting in a little bit. So I do hope you enjoy your day. And like I said, keep an eye out. There's a lot coming. A whole lot. Bye-bye.